So if you're like me and you're just starting to play Kineticist, and let's be honest, everyone's just starting to play Kineticist because it's a brand new class, there are some key traits that are going to show up in your impulses that are good to know, and they're totally new. So we all kind of have to figure them out as we're going along. But they're really easy. It's really well spelled out in the Rage of Elements book. My name is Don. I'm trying to be the Sly Strategist, and let's go ahead and get into it. So there are 5 new traits that you need to be aware of. They are impulse, infusion, overflow, stance, and composite. Each one of those have their own kind of thing, and we'll go ahead and give an example of them just so that we're kind of aware of what we're doing. So we'll start with impulse. An impulse is a spell-like activity, and it's the primary magical action that you can take as a kineticist. You need 2 things to use an impulse. You need your kinetic aura. It must be up, which you can do before you go into combat. If you know you're going into combat or you want to keep it up all the time, or you can use it for 1 action in the encounter. And 2, you need a hand free, so no 2-handed weapons for a kineticist. That's just how the rules work. The impulse trait does have the concentrate trait unless you have another ability that allows you to change this. Now, some impulses are specific to an element, and some will allow you to choose an element, but you can only use one that you are channeling. Now, a good example of this is going to be Elemental Blast. Elemental Blast allows you to choose whatever element that you want to use, whichever ones that you have, whichever ones that you are channeling, and it is going to be your basic impulse. The next one I'd like to talk about is an infusion. Now, there are certain actions that you can do to modify or adjust your impulses, and these are called infusions. When you're attempting an infusion, it must be done directly before the impulse, and even a reaction or a free action done between the infusion and the impulse will cause the infusion to fail. The effects of the infusion become part of the following impulse. A good example would be 2-element infusion. By using this feat and this infusion, you can infuse Elemental Blast with 2 kinetic elements instead of 1 and use the highest range and damage. You get to choose which one of those 2 things you use from each one of the elements you have. So if you have a higher damage element and a higher range element, well, you can use the highest of both. Now, half of the damage would be from one element and half is going to be from the other. And you get to choose which one gets the higher if the damage is an odd number. The next one I kind of want to cover is overflow. So when you use an impulse that has the overflow trait, you are going to temporarily overdraw energy from your kinetic gate to your elemental plane, and your kinetic aura will go down until you reactivate your kinetic gate with the single action channel elements. Even if you are somehow able to reactivate your kinetic aura, let's say you happen to have 4 actions in a turn because of a haste spell or something along those lines, the overflow is so draining that you can only use 1 overflow per round. So when your kinetic aura does go down, you lose stances, but you can still sustain any impulses that have been cast previously. Blazing Wave is a good fire impulse that demonstrates overflow. When you use it, you get to do 4d6 damage in a 30-foot cone, and any critical fails on a reflex save by the creatures that are affected would result in that creature being knocked prone from the blast. There's also a stance. Now, if you're looking for a combat strategy that you can remain in and use for multiple rounds of an encounter, then a stance is what you're looking for. It must be done only in encounter mode, and stances give you special abilities or actions from being in that stance. Now, a good example of this would be the Earth Stance Geologic Attunement. It allows you to use Tremor Sense in your kinetic area as an imprecise sense at least until level 13, and once per round, you can use it to point out a creature that you sense as a free action with your Tremor Sense. It's great against hidden or concealed enemies. And the last key trait I'd like to go over is composite. So a composite impulse combines 2 elements to do something new, totally new, unlike an infusion. You can get a composite impulse if you have at least a dual gate, meaning 2 elements, and they are either feat 4 or feat 6 composite impulses. There are 15 of this composite impulses in total one for each possible combination of two elements. And a very good example of this one that you can get as a feat 4 is Lava Leap from Earth and Fire. It is a feat 4 that uses both elements to allow you to leap up to your speed, and a wave of lava in a 10-foot emanation from where you land deals 1d6 bludgeoning damage from the earth side and 2d6 fire damage with a basic reflex save. Because of this, when you land, you also get a +2 circumstance bonus to AC from the shell of lava that kind of surrounds you until the start of your next turn. Now, I hope this quick tip on the new Kineticist key traits is helpful. There are just some new things to keep in mind. You're going to see them a lot if you're playing a Kineticist, and it's good to know what they do and what they all mean. Now, I do hope you like this video, and if you did, feel free to like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell. But whatever you do, I hope you have a great day and happy adventuring. Thanks.